Hello, my name is Merritt Laney, and this week we were reading about Stella Adler. So I am here currently. It's the very beginning of the day where we are, and I'm going to try to start incorporating some of the concepts that we read about with Stella Adler in our group today. In the Brestoff reading, we read a lot about Stella Adler's ideas of using the imagination as kind of the foremost force whenever we as actors are creating a character, versus the whole idea with Lee Strasberg, where Lee Strasberg said to start with yourself and your emotions. She felt that was really very self-indulgent and did not explore the depth of a character nearly enough, because the characters are bigger than us. She talks about in the intro video, for instance, that plays are not about words. They are about ideas from the author, and those ideas have to be grandiose. And honestly, as individuals, we don't always have that depth of passion, that depth of emotion that it was required. So then we have to really explore and train our bodies and our voices to match the idea of the character. And she does this through a lot of different techniques. She utilizes justification. She utilizes the idea of the magic what if, introduced by Stanislavski to help us to achieve what we need to, and of course by action. So these main concepts of imagination, justification, action, and given circumstance are all part and parcel to the crafting of the character. In her lessons that she has with her students, she always emphasizes that yelling isn't acting, that there needs to be an action behind what it is that you're doing, and that has to be justifiable by the script. So then, in other words, after the research, after the analysis, you then need to just be in the moment with your character. You need to understand how would your character react under those circumstances. Not necessarily you, but how would your character react under these circumstances. This was something that Robert Louis and Stella Adler actually shared in their quest for developing theater as an art. In the Krasner readings, we read a lot about the Stella Adler Conservatory. Now, I knew that there was, these techniques were taught in many universities, the one where I went to included, and especially NYU, but I didn't know that there was actually a Stella Adler Conservatory. This was a very revolutionary thing for me. You would have thought I would have known at this point, but it was really very interesting to kind of read up on their curriculum, to figure out what it is that how they trained their students, and then the idea of starting with basic concepts and then exploring them in more detail as each year progresses. What I also greatly admired was how the conservatory, and NYU in particular, focuses on giving back to the community. And giving back to the community also helps the actor not just to give back, but also to help them with the observational aspect of Stella Adler's method. She even herself started by mimicking people around her and just observing human behavior around her. And so that is something too that I would like to include in my curriculum with my kids. So I'm adding on a little bit to this video of the Stella Adler curriculum. I'm actually going to try utilizing that between this week and next. So, and with the focus being on, yes, the ideas of listening to your scene partner, which is still something that these young kids are kind of trying to understand, because they themselves are still developing a sense of truth in themselves. So that is going to take some time to help them to understand how reacting truthfully versus just presenting and indicating. And they might not even get it with their time with me. But I know that this is something that the high school teacher at our school addresses later on, so I would love for them to have a nice base of that. So throughout this week and next, I am going to be trying to include some updates at the end of my videos, since I am mixing a lot of these different people's concepts together as I instruct them in their very, very limited time. So the idea of listening with your blood was something I addressed to my students actually a couple days ago. And at first they were like, wow, that sounds really intense. And so it just meant putting all of your attention onto what the other person was doing, and kind of seeing what emotions kind of sprung up from just mirroring what they were doing. I want to start addressing the idea of action's effect on emotion rather than forcing emotion out, like so many young actors attempt to do. So we're gonna see how that goes, and I would love to share more about that later.